Hi, so my name is Patricia Doxey. I'm a reporter with the Daily Freeman newspaper, and we're here today with outgoing County Executive Michael Hein. We'll be chatting with him for about 30 minutes about his time in office and his plans for the future. Also joining us is his Chief of Staff, Adele Ryder, and Yvonne Lahara, our senior editor. So, Mike, do you want to say something before we get into our questions here?
First and foremost, I want to thank you guys. Again, I think that it's imperative that we have a strong media. It's been pivotal to being able to communicate with the general public, with people being aware of what's going on in their own backyard and the things that directly impact democracy. So I've been a huge fan about it. I always tell people, elected officials sometimes have an unusual relationship back and forth with the news media. But my perspective has always been it's a pivotal part of public communication and making sure that democracy actually works. So I appreciate the work that you guys have done here at the Freeman. It's been an amazing ride. 10 years of being able to step in as the first county executive, taking our county from a position where we were, again, when we talk about being functionally bankrupt, the truth of the matter is governments can't go bankrupt. So what they end up doing in New York State is they just go back for more and more and more taxes. And that's what we were experiencing. In the decade prior to taking office, we saw over $40 million in new taxes hitting our people in a moment when they could least afford it. Don't forget, when I became the county executive, it was 2009. That was at the height of the worst economic crisis our nation was seeing since the Great Depression. So being able to step in at that moment brought some unique challenges at that time, being the first county executive in a place, and we were suffering too locally. 15,000 jobs had walked out the door with IBM. Our economy was really built around a single large employer. The county government had developed a reputation for being bloated. It was really more about who you knew than what you knew. And ultimately, we also built a reputation at Ulster County government for not being able to complete capital projects on time and on budget. The Ulster County Jail project at that moment was 2.5 years behind schedule and $23 million over budget. I thought the part that was most pivotal, though, I thought people had lost faith in their government. And I wasn't alone in that. It was one of the driving forces to why we changed our form of government, to increase the level of accountability and improve results. Fast forward to now, I don't know, and again, I've had this incredible conversation with a number of people who remember from the very beginning, and all of them said the same thing to me. We couldn't have dreamed that it would have turned out as good as it has. We have unemployment rate that's the lowest it's been in over 20 years. That doesn't mean we don't still have challenges, but real changes are happening. We have a diversified economy now so that no one company can do the kind of harm that we had here when it came to IBM. When we look at our environment, we've become the most environmentally responsible county in the entire state of New York, recognized in National Geographic and with awards that have awards. I couldn't be more pleased with the partnerships every step of the way that have helped make that possible. And we've reshaped the finances of Ulster County, taking us from, again, that brink of bankruptcy moment to now one of the most fiscally sound counties in the entire state. I'm really proud of that. And one thing that your readers should know, and now your viewers should know, is we've really positioned it. I would say it shouldn't be a best kept secret. We've positioned Ulster County so that barring mismanagement, Ulster County property taxes will go down for the next 2 or 3 years in a row. We have property taxpayer protection funds. We've built systems in place. We have really put the county in a position where it is fiscally sound. And that's something I'm very excited about, especially with the idea of moving on. I always want to be able to feel like we've moved on by building a strong foundation for whomever the next county executive is, to be able to move this county continually forward off of a better platform.
So you're leaving in the middle of your term.
Well, I wouldn't say the middle, but
midway through your term. You've got a partway through your term. You would have run for
Sure.
reelection in this coming November.
Absolutely.
Had you not been appointed to this position.
Correct.
Would you have run for reelection?
Absolutely. I listen, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that I loved what I've been able to do. I loved the opportunity to serve as the county executive in a place that I was born and raised. I love the opportunity to be able to make real differences day in and day out that helps and impact people's lives. So that's been an absolute privilege. So, and not only that, we've also been fortunate in that we've won every single time we run by overwhelming numbers. We ran unopposed one time and we won by landslides the others. And we have, again, been overwhelmed by the level of support. Even to this day, as I traveled the county after we made the announcement, so many people have come out of really into so many different events and have been there. And it's been incredibly rewarding. And to be quite frank with you, one of those moments that are a little emotional. We've worked really hard.
So what do you think that you've left undone? Generally, in your State of the County address, you look back over the prior year,
sure,
and you look forward to what you'll be doing in the upcoming year. It was a little different this time around.
Sure.
If not for this appointment, where would you have seen Ulster County going in 2019?
I think it's a great question. I think it's important to understand how far we've come, and with those things, it's one of the reasons that made it a decision I could make. And that was that we had accomplished so much of what we had originally set out to do. We wanted to fix the finances of the county. We wanted to streamline the government. We wanted to make sure capital projects get done. On a personal note, there were things that really mattered to me. I wanted to have a family court facility completed that was really built on dignity and respect. That's something that we've been able to accomplish. I envisioned doing something very different than any of my colleagues, and that was moving forward with the Restorative Justice and Community Empowerment Center that I believe is just scratching the surface of what it will ultimately do as far as impacting generational poverty and being able to impact the school to prison pipeline. So if I were to have stayed, I would have expanded and continued to expand and hope that my successor expands the value of the Restorative Justice and Community Empowerment Center. I hope that they will continue to focus on the things that we have done with the interconnectivity of our trail system. Ulster County is so unique. When you look at the Empire State Trail, that was a beautiful idea and was scheduled to go from Battery Park in Manhattan all the way to Canada. The only part of that original part that was going to be on the east side of the Hudson River was a part way up in the Albany area. Instead, we transitioned it over so that when you hit Poughkeepsie and the walkway over the Hudson, the Empire State Trail now makes a complete turn, comes into Ulster County, gives you an opportunity to explore the beautiful town of Lloyd, to go to New Paltz and see Mohawk and a breathtaking view, to go to Gardner, to go to Rosendale and the Trestle, to come to Kingston, and an amazing connection before it ultimately finds its way out across the Rhinecliff Bridge. It's going to be redone. In that process, by the way, and it's really important to understand, that is going to be an economic boom. Not only is it great from a quality of life issue for local residents, not only is it good for improving overall public health, not only is it wonderful for connecting for students in the SUNY New Paltz area, but the opportunity for us to be able to bring some of the 22 million people that live in the metro New York area into the Hudson Valley, into Ulster County, and have those dollars is precisely the reasons, and thinking about those things differently, that have driven our tourism economy to record levels.
You brought up 2 points in there, 2 issues that I want to sort of talk about a little
Sure.
bit. One is that with your departure, there seems to be some discussion within the rail community that you're leaving could open up the possibility for reversal on the trail program, your trail efforts. And I wonder if you worry that your plans for this world-class trail, interconnected trail system that you've touted,
Sure.
could be in danger.
As I tell everybody, that process isn't mine alone. I've had the privilege of working with the Ulster County legislature, and the plan that we have detailed very clearly was adopted unanimously, both sides of the aisle, all different factions of concern, whether it comes to rail trail or railroad and the like. And it's been a wild success. When we talk about the rail bikes that are going on right now in the Phoenicia area, they've been a boom to the economy. When we talk about now working with the Ulster and Delaware Railroad to be able to bring rail into the Bel Air area, we're really excited about what that's going to be. When it comes to in Kingston with the tourism train rides, we're very excited about what it does, and it's been very successful. But it's also just as important that we open up those trail connections. And that's why the 11.5 miles along the Ashokan Reservoir will be open for the first time without permit or fee to everyone in over 100 years. And that is well underway. We're really excited about that. I fully expect that to open up next year. And the connection that we have made in the heart of the city of Kingston. The part of the trail system that I said was probably the most important to me, though it might have been the smallest. The connection between Midtown Kingston, the heart of a severely underprivileged area, where we provide easy access to low-cost, high-quality food in Kingston's only major supermarket. Not only is it complete now, but it is thriving. Even to this day, in the cold and snow, we are seeing people utilize that to be able to get access to low-cost, high-quality food for their families and access to healthcare at the clinics in the plaza. It couldn't be more successful. So again, I'm excited about what exists. I firmly believe that it will be expanded upon.
You mentioned, and everybody knows that you were the first county executive in this county's history. As a result of your departure, and according to the rules that are written in the charter, we will have a minimum of 3 county executives in 2019.
Sure.
And we could have as many as 4 county executives in the next 12 months.
5.
5.
Sure.
Do you think that that's the best way to handle these kinds of transitions?
No. I think that there should be a constant in this process. There was a change to the county charter by a previous administration in the legislature that I thought was inappropriate. I did everything I could to be able to stop it.
What was that
But
change?
ultimately, what it did was it forced this early action that would be required under our charter. That's 90-day action, rather than some sort of succession plan that was clearly laid out. I firmly believe that going to November and having a primary with these early elections that were with the change in voter in the elections that are happening in the primary to June would be the right answer. That's my personal opinion. Again, I don't have a say in this. I don't have any sway over this, but I do know that I always appreciate more voter participation. I'm a big believer in that. I think that the more people that participate in democracy, the better the democracy is. And so, again, that's a personal opinion. That's not going to define the change.
Though, you say.
Yep. So ultimately, I believe that stability in these processes and in embracing democracy, that's the critical part. Because having a person who could be the county executive for 2 months or 3 months or 4 months might not be the right answer when it comes to helping steer what is ostensibly a $329 million organization, especially when there are moments of crisis. Again, one of the big things that often is nearly not talked about when it comes to being the county executive. I was the county executive during, I remember there was about a 24-month window when we had tornadoes, we had other massive storms, we had hurricanes, we had superstorms, we had everything. I always joke with people, I said the only thing we didn't have was locusts. And in that process, you have to be at the tip of the spear in the Emergency Operations Center, leading hundreds of people to make sure that people's lives are protected. That's a pivotal part of being the county executive in moments of crisis. And so, again, do I think that having massive turnover on a regular basis is the best answer? No, I don't.
We've seen a number of Democrats come forward announcing themselves as potential candidates. Are you endorsing any of them?
Again, I'm a big fan of democracy. I think the people of Ulster County should have the final say of all of this. I've been privileged and really fortunate every step of the way to have the support of so many people in Ulster County. And I think building that support is part of what it takes to actually prove that you're capable of leading. And so in this process, I firmly believe that of the people who have announced, that's great. That's a part of the process. The efforts that you make in convincing committee members to support you in that process, it's part of the process. But ultimately, it comes down to the citizens of Ulster County choosing who they want to be in that seat. And again, I've been very blessed. And I hope that I'm always wishing the best of luck to whoever my successor is. And hopefully we have built a very different kind of, again, foundation for them to work off of. When we came in, we were in really serious straits financially and many other ways. our infrastructure was crumbling. We've now put Ulster County in a position where we have the best roads and bridges we have ever had. And that's something I'm very proud of, and I'm very proud of our DPW and all the partners that we've had through the entire process. And I'm also very proud of our finance team, because we were able to find the resources by running the government much better, that we could then take those dollars, invest them in our infrastructure, and help our partners in government by providing over $30 million in relief to our towns and the city of Kingston with safety net relief. And I'm really proud of all of those initiatives that we've done. We stabilized the county's finances and helped others along the way. I always talk to my team about this. It's not about winning the race that's so important. I always tell people it's much more gratifying when you think about how many people you can bring across the finish line with you. And that's something that's always been a big focus of mine.
One of the things that we've seen in the last year is, well, I think that we've seen it over several years of your time in office, but really it sort of ratcheted up over the last couple of years. Is this I don't even know what you want to call it, this thing with the county comptroller. The two of you don't necessarily see eye to eye on just about anything, and most recently we had some controversy and accusations fly over inappropriate access to
Sure.
computer systems. The legislature commissioned a study to look into that.
Sure.
We've not seen the results of that study.
I think we have to be really clear about this. I've never hedged, and I've always been very brutally honest in these kinds of conversations. Here's the reality. We run our operation very clear. Pat, you've never asked us a question that we wouldn't provide you an answer for. We've never been in a situation where we haven't been open about what our goals are and the direction that we are moving in. I've never been particularly politically engaged. Okay, I've always said I'm going to do what I believe is in the best interest of our citizens, not what is necessarily in the best political situation. That doesn't always endear me to folks, okay, when it comes to other politicians. And that has been clearly one of those situations there. Now, when we talk about this, we should never lose sight of what precisely happened. The comptroller's office hacked into the executive's files. And in that process, when we conveyed that information to the legislature, the legislature is in a very unique position right now. Pat, please let me
hacked into your files.
Pat,
isn't it more accurate, or isn't it true that somewhere along the line his folks were given access?
We'll make sure we're clear about this. Both of those things are true in two different sets of files. Okay, this isn't an either or, this is both. Okay, and that's something I don't know that you're clear on. I'll be more than happy to show you that, like we have shared with everyone else in this process. I also think it's really important that we understand some of the scary realities of the Ulster County legislature. The legislature can be an incredible partner, and has been an incredible partner through multiple chairs, through multiple groups, to be, and again, in a bipartisan manner, to address an enormous amount of positive change within this county. But there is a danger that befalls our community, and we should at least be cognizant of it as a group. And that is, it's the danger that our legislature gets held hostage. Because if your legislature gets held hostage, it's also the citizens that get held hostage. It's democracy that gets held hostage. And what I mean by this is this. There has been no change in personnel within the Ulster County legislature, but there's changes in leadership. And so what happens is any one legislature, there's a razor thin margin, right? If one person decides to change one way or the other, you have a change in leadership and you have a change in majority. And when that happens, one individual, no matter who that is, gets an enormous amount, a disproportionate amount of authority, and can warp the system, warp the democracy away from what's in the best interest of the citizens. And that's something we should at least keep an eye out as a community.
Okay, so I'm going to guess there that we're talking about Mr. Maloney.
No, again,
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand big picture. This is anyone. When you're in the scenario where you have, it's my great hope, again, as a Democrat, it's my great hope that we have more Democrats and we have built a larger majority within the Ulster County legislature, and that is critically important, and it functions extremely well. I think that's an important thing I'd like to see happen.
My question, though, is actually, because the county comptroller made allegations against the administration too, and we have a report that ostensibly looked into this stuff, we don't know because we've not seen that report.
I think you bring up the critical question here. One of the challenges is this: there are some within the legislature who would do anything in their power to shield the comptroller from any bad press. And so they have, in my
Is that what you think is happening here?
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely believe it, because we know what the facts are. Again, the people who run the IS department, the Information Services Department, are a decorated Marine with information services expertise, who has been, again, an amazing individual, very crystal clear about exactly what's going on. And the challenge in this situation is really simple. It's not the facts that are being twisted. What's being twisted here is politics. It's not something that we don't expect. We'll deal with it. Again, my team has been an incredible group of people, but the facts are really simple, really straightforward. And the fact that the report has taken so long, when, again, they were ready to give that report a long time ago. But I'm not confident that there were some in the legislature who wanted the report given.
One of the questions that we got on a different subject was from a reader, and they want to know what happens to your. I'm sorry, I can't read my own writing here. To your campaign treasury. That stands at about $136,000 as of your January filing. Where does that money go once you leave?
It's a good question. Again, I'll have to do whatever I have to do within the confines of the law to make sure it doesn't roll to the, I can tell you this, it doesn't roll to the individual. We'll do whatever we have to do legally, like we have always done in this process, is to make sure that we follow the laws. I don't know if we can make donations from it. That's something that I have to learn much more about.
And so you've been nominated for this position, Commissioner of the State Office of Temporary and Disability Administration.
Sure.
I mean, I think that some people are sort of interested in how that all happened.
Sure. Well, I think it's important to understand this. When you understand why I ran for county executive, then this makes perfect sense. And this is a conversation and a story that I don't know that I've shared with many people. But my son was very sick when he was born. He was in a neonatal intensive care unit for 4 months. We were told that there was a high likelihood he would not live. The reality was he did live, and he has thrived. And in that part of that process, that's a condensing of an enormous amount of work. My wife has been extraordinary through this entire process. And her and I we made a decision that we were going to move away from what we were doing at the time. When my son was born, I was a hard-charging banker, and we were doing really great. And my wife was a very talented business person. She was doing great. And we both decided that we wanted to do things that were going to be fulfilling in giving back to people. That we had been so blessed that we had an opportunity to be able to raise our son, and to be able to, and he was able to avoid so many of the medical nightmares that were potential for him, that we were going to give back to people. We just felt that fortunate. And it was a life-altering moment for us. And as a result, my wife now runs the largest food pantry and has brought all of her business skills to the table in that process, as well as an incredible heart. In that process, they have thrived. It's one of the underpinnings of why I got involved in public service. And so what the responsibilities are at the Office of Temporary Assistance and Disability is critical for me. OTDA has what I believe is one of the most important human missions within the state government. The capacity to make sure you work with local DSS administrations to deliver services to people in moments of crisis, people in need, people who are disabled, people who are often disadvantaged within our society. That matters to me personally. And so this became an enormous opportunity to make a difference in the life of the citizens of the state of New York. And again, I feel very blessed that Governor Cuomo has seen fit to provide that opportunity.
So when does this happen?
Again, we're still working through the final dates at this point, and I'll make sure I keep you up to date on that.
Do you have any idea? I mean, is it this month, next month, November?
I would presume that it is going to happen sooner rather than later.
And I just want to go back for a minute to
Sure.
the allegations between the comptroller's office and the administration.
Sure.
And you say that you think that failure to release this report is a political decision by the legislature, or that's how you're viewing it?
Again, one can only look at this very simply. When all the facts were available really quickly, there's no additional study necessary. All the facts are readily available. This isn't something that's questionable. All those details are available and provided to experts in this process and to open to the public. So this is all readily available. When all the information is right there and the company comes forward to issue the report, and that report is stopped in a executive session only committee, one can only wonder why. And so we understand what the truth is. My decorated Marine Information Services Director fully understands what the facts and all the situation are. And we recognize that these kind of things do happen. They're unfortunate, they're messy, but they do happen. I will say this, I don't spend a lot of time getting lost in the weeds. I'm much more focused on big pictures. And the big picture here is just how much better Ulster County has been today than it was 10 years ago. Every step of the way, do we apologize for having sharp elbows and protecting the rights of the citizens of this county? Absolutely not. I work for 180,000 residents. I don't work for the politicians. I don't work for anything. What I work for are the citizens. And if I think that citizens are being in any way disenfranchised or disadvantaged, I'm going to fight back. And that's what this has always been all about. When we move forward with critical things to help veterans, we do it to help citizens. When we work forward to help our seniors, we do it to help our citizens. When we merge buses, and I hope that we get that done quickly, that's something that's really important. I think a single bus system for this county and the city are critically important, and the mayor's been a wonderful partner in that process. All of those things are designed about what's in the best interest of the people. It might not be, because the bus one's a good example. It might not be in the county government's best interest financially to take over the city bus system.
Why not?
Well, the city bus system may add additional cost, okay, and may not add enough additional revenue to be able to offset that in the long term. But the truth of the matter is, I firmly believe that for our county to thrive, the city must thrive. And I'm really proud of the hard work and the capacity that we have at our UCAT system to be able to deliver the highest level of service. And we have seen that, and the data supports it. Our ridership numbers have skyrocketed, and we'll continue to do those kinds of things, providing free Wi-Fi, providing free ridership, by the way, to SUNY Ulster students, providing free ridership to our veterans, because I always say we can never say thank you enough for those who have sacrificed for our country and for our freedoms. So there are steps that we take every step of the way here to be able to do what is right. Big picture, long term. That's really what I think has separated this administration from so many others. I don't think in terms of the next election, or I don't think in terms of the next news story. I think in terms of the next generation. How can we make sure that we thrive long term? And that's what we've tried to do here in Ulster County, is reposition what our county can be and move the possibilities to a whole new level.
So at this point, your days are numbered. I don't mean to say
that sounds very sweet.
Sounds a little,
I hope I don't hear that in my own house sometime.
What are you doing now and tomorrow and in the days to come to prepare the county
Sure.
for your departure? Because at some point, when you're not going to be in that office.
We should be really clear about this. This is something we always think about. You know, there's a reason we have a succession plan. There's a reason that we think in terms of making sure that we build redundancy into our systems, whether it be at the department level, whether it be at the administration level, or whether it be at the county executive level. Okay. Ultimately, we try to build those systems in place, making sure that everybody is prepared so our citizens are protected. It comes back to that same conversation. This isn't about me, Mike Hein. This isn't even about my administration. This is about what's in the best interest of the citizens of Ulster County and how do we make sure that takes place. And that's something that I am focused on for the last 12, 13 years in my involvement in this process. Really all the way back to 15 years ago when Lou Kirshner really asked me to come work with him. And I have been the luckiest guy in the entire world, every step of the way in my involvement in Ulster County government. The opportunity to be able to serve, the opportunity to be able to serve the citizens that I love in a place that I was born and raised, and to take a county from a terrible position to one that now I know that we are going to ultimately hand off to the next administration, something that is strong and healthy and ready to thrive. I couldn't be more pleased.
I know that we said that we would keep this at 30 minutes, and we're just at that 30-minute mark. I do want to ask if we've had any questions that came in from any of our viewers.
No, there was a question from a comment a while back about if there's, with your new position, if there's going to be a conflict of interest with the People's Place.
It's a great question. Again, we will do whatever we have to do to make sure that there's not, just like I have in my current position. The fact that we have an amazing entity that exists as a non-for-profit within our county that provides food for people in moments of need and clothing for people in moments of crisis is a beautiful thing. And we have multiple entities that do exactly that. Ulster County government has provided People Place with precisely $0 in my entire time as the county executive, because we wanted to ensure that there was never any even perception that there could be that issue. And so that has probably disadvantaged Christine in this process. But the truth of the matter is we believe that was the right way to do it. And so in my new role, we'll make sure that, again, at no point in any way, shape, or form will we ever create even the appearance of something like that.
Is there anything else you want to say to readers?
What I do want to say is this. As much as we're talking about moving on to a new position and we're talking about becoming kind of the end of this time of being the county executive, the truth of the matter is it doesn't feel that much different for me in that I'm not leaving. I love Ulster County. I was born and raised here. I'll continue to live in Ulster County with my wonderful wife and my son. We're excited about what this new opportunity brings, but we're also incredibly appreciative. And that is appreciative to all the partners, so many people who turned out. And as I tell everybody, if I ever have any regret, it's that I wish my late brother could see this. You know, he cared so deeply, just like we do, about our community. He was a former state trooper. It was really a moment of great pride when I decided to run for office for him. He really believed it was our opportunity together to continue to move forward and make our community a better place. He was an amazing guy. Thank you, Pat. Thank you for everything that you've done. I wish nothing but the greatest success for the Freeman. Again, I think the importance of journalism in a community should never be underappreciated. It's incredibly valuable. Hold the people who are in power accountable. That's what it's really all about. Make sure that they're telling you the truth. It's something that I have valued. It's also something that I have lived by. I'm proud to have gone 10 years in administration. No scandal, no nightmares, none of the things that come along with so many political careers, all because we've tried to do things very differently and simply focus on what's in the best interest of our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that.